Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing, topping our newscast. The St. Croix Board of Elections called an emergency meeting Tuesday to address the issue of how to handle the decision by the Supreme Court to remove Senator Alicia Hansen's name from the ballot. But not enough members showed up to do anything. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
There were more members of the public present than board members for the St. Croix Election Board's emergency meeting called Tuesday. The sole item on the agenda, discussing and approving the ballot without Senator Alicia Hansen's name.
The Supreme Court of the Virgin's latest ruling was to direct Mrs. Fox and the boards to remove Alicia Hansen from the ballot in the St. Croix area and to cease using whatever the process will use.
The election supervisor provided the three possible options suggested by the elections contracted vendor for the machines, ES&S, to change the ballots.
First, do not change the ballots that are printed. In the ERM, change the candidate name to disqualify and move any votes cast for her to undervotes. That's one option. Second, do not change the ballots that are printed. Recode the DS200 to not show the candidate name so it will not appear on the machine reports or in ERM. This would involve putting a disqualified text in a DS200 so that the ballots do not change and can still be read. 3. Complete record of the election, including printing ballots and changing the DS200s. At this late date, this is a risky option because ballots may not arrive in time. Plus, then some voters would have received ballots with Hansen's name on and others would not.
Board officials also said the problem with the machines cross-voting when using the party symbol has been known for months, and it's not a fix that ES&S plans to address.
And I'm not supporting putting a barcode that I don't understand. And I'm not supporting anything other than for ES&S to print the ballot as a court order.
There was no quorum at Tuesday's meeting, so no action was taken on fixing the ballot, and ES&S officials won't be here until October 31st, 4 days before the general election, to address the symbol vote issue, if at all. With only a week to go before the general election, it seems like there may already be challenges to the outcome. Erica Parsons, News 2.
WAPA officially cut the ribbon Monday, as we reported, on 2 of its facilities, which are expected to bring more reliability, better service, and lower costs in St. Croix. Officials and stakeholders celebrated the dedication of both the Spanish Town Solar Farm and the Gregory Willocks substation Mid-Island.
We understand at WAPA that as long as the rates are where they are, it's going to be hard for the public to digest all the rest of what's going on. But rest assured, with this solar project and the one coming on St. Thomas next month that we expect to put energy on the grid in December, the LEAC was lowered 4 cents this month of October already. We're already moving toward that reduction that was promised here. There'll be more of a reduction coming in January with the advent of the other projects we have going on. And we'll continue to drive the cost down.
Government House made a big announcement Monday, one that marks a year-long process surrounding the Hovensa refinery on St. Croix. According to the governor, Hovensa has found a buyer. Here are details on the conclusion of the sales process that could soon spur the St. Croix economy. News 2's April Knight has that story.
1 year after the legislature approved the Hovensa Fourth Amendment Agreement, the refinery seems on the brink of a sale. After hours in a meeting with senators, Governor John DeYoung announced Monday night that Hovensa has struck a deal with Atlantic Basin Refining Inc. to buy the refinery on St. Croix.
They met the one criteria that was the most important, is that we wanted a restart of a refinery that was environmentally sound, that provided employment.
There's not much background on the buyer. Government House stated the company was built specifically to acquire the refinery and would pay some $1.6 billion to the VI government over the course of the agreement. That's now set at 22 years, with a possible additional 10 years. If the refinery turns out to be extremely profitable, more money could be paid to the government. After the sale is closed, Atlantic Basin has 20 months to find funding for restarting the refinery, which now needs rehabilitation location after sitting idle for 2 years. Governor DeYoung stated economic activity will pick up soon on St. Croix. The refinery is expected to eventually hire more than 700 employees, a majority of them full-time.
I think the configuration that they're looking at, will make it a very successful merchant refinery. It'll put St. Croix within the dynamics of the domestic oil industry.
Already, some senators and residents have questions, wary of the new agreement after Hovensa's devastating closure. The legislature still has to approve the operating agreement before the sale is closed. The governor wants it done by the end of the week. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
According to Government House, restarting the refinery could cost Atlantic Basin Refining Inc. up to $1 billion. News 2 will keep you updated. And more good news for St. Croix. Recent legislation by Senator Alicia Hansen paved the way for the St. Croix Golf Resort and Casino development to get off the ground. During a press conference on Tuesday, the developers announced they've secured funding for the $240 million project that will include a hotel, casino, convention center, and golf course.
Since enactment of the Hotel Development Act, the latest amendment has assisted us in being able to secure funding for the project, and we're looking to push forward first quarter next year, hopefully by February 2015.
I am overwhelmed today to realize that this is coming out to a real reality. The governor is on board, the various commissions is on board, the permits are in place. You have now the people just waiting for this to happen. You imagine a convention center with a 1,400 capacity on the island of St. Croix.
Since Hovensa's closing, there have been tons of businesses closing, job layoffs. What this will do is stimulate the economy, stimulate development, put tons of people to work.
Wallaby Hospital's Chief Executive Officer, Kendall Griffith, said their plan of correction that would help the hospital get up to standards of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services would cost more than $10 million. In a meeting with Territorial Hospital Board members, Griffith emphasized that it's going to take different levels of government working together. Griffith said they're also taking care of problems with disruptive behavior among their staff.
It comes with a cost. Anytime you make significant change in an organization that is accustomed to doing things a certain way, people fight back, and they attack not just at the professional level, but they attack at the personal level.
Turning our attention overseas, there are updates on 2 nurses who treated Ebola patients, and the debate over how to prevent the virus from spreading in the United States continues. Craig Boswell has the latest from the White House, where the president is expected to comment about the fight against Ebola.
Amber Vinson received a round of applause as she left Emory University Hospital in Atlanta today.
While this is a day for celebration and gratitude, I ask that we not lose focus on the thousands of families who continue to labor under the burden of this disease in West Africa.
The Dallas nurse is now Ebola-free. She caught the virus treating Thomas Duncan of Liberia, who died earlier this month. And the nurse quarantined in New Jersey is now back in Maine. Local officials want Casey Hickox to avoid going out until the 21-day incubation period is up. Her lawyer is trying to convince them that a day or 2 of quarantine is enough. The CDC has now updated its Ebola guidelines on healthcare workers returning from West Africa, classifying them into 4 categories. Workers who treated patients using personal protective equipment pose some risk, while those who had direct contact with bodily fluids are considered high risk. Officials will monitor for signs of infection, and there will be restrictions about going out and taking transportation. President Obama has told his Ebola team that government policies should not discourage healthcare workers from going to West Africa to fight the virus. So far, at least a half dozen states have come up with their own guidelines for mandatory quarantines. The White House says Ebola response coordinator Ron Klain has been working behind the scenes and is meeting with CDC officials in Atlanta this week. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
And keeping our eye on the economy, a popular off-road vehicle is undergoing a makeover. According to autonews.com, Chrysler will release its next generation Jeep Wrangler in 2017. In other news, the maker of Bell and Evans food products is recalling nearly 32,000 pounds of its gluten-free breaded chicken products, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The products may be contaminated with a bacteria that can cause serious food poisoning. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange. With our stock market watch, the Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all up. The Dow 187, Nasdaq 78, S&P 23. Well, coming up on News 2, Red Ribbon Week events continue this week. We'll tell you what students in the territory are doing to recognize the With a proven successful track record, officials say Crime Stoppers is working. Here's this week's Crime Stoppers report. Remember, even the smallest bit of information could be the key. Police say on St. Croix over the past several days, several day and nighttime burglaries occurred in the Little Fountain area where cash and electronic devices were taken. On one occasion, the perpetrator attempted to take the victim's vehicle but failed in his efforts. The perpetrator involved has been described as a slim or tall male. If you live in the immediate area, have seen any vehicle that don't belong in the area, or any person or persons lurking about the area, Crime Stoppers say please let them know, or law enforcement, what you know. On St. Thomas on Sunday, October 19th, 2012, at 4:08 a.m., the lifeless body of a 22-year-old male identified as Shakoy Benjamin was transported by private vehicle to the Roy Lesher Schneider emergency room after sustaining a gunshot wound to the upper body while in the area of Blitz nightclub located on Noragata. The major crime unit case is detective. They're presently investigating this case. If you have any information regarding this incident, please contact the unit at extensions 5617, 5618, or 5619. Now, on St. John on Wednesday, October 15th at 9 p.m., a citizen reported at the Jurgen Command a victim of an assault and robbery. While in the area of Nature's Nook, the victim said they were standing in the vehicle and talking on cell phone when four black males approached the vehicle. One of the suspects pulled the victim out of the vehicle and began to strike the victim with a closed fist. After several minutes of this, the suspect says the stolen complainant's phone, iPhone 5, was stolen, a white OtterBox case, and a silver tag hair watch, and departed the area. The victim suffered abrasions and bruises as well. Please call 1-800-222-TIPS or text USVI plus your message to crimes at 274-637. The students and staff of St. Mary's Catholic School took to the streets Tuesday marching with chants of "You and Me, let's stay drug-free." They joined hundreds of schools nationally celebrating Red Ribbon Week this week. This year's theme is Love Yourself, Be Drug-Free. The purpose of Red Ribbon Week is to raise awareness of the destruction caused by drugs. It got its beginning in the 80s after the torture and murder of DEA agent Enrique Camarena. The St. Mary's group marched throughout the town of Christiansted. Well, the Teachers Union, as we reported, hosted its annual Teach Conference in both districts. Last Friday, it was held for the St. Thomas St. John teachers. The keynote speaker for St. Thomas was Cynthia Butler McIntyre, who's the Director of Human Resources of the Jefferson Parish Public School in Harvey, Louisiana, who shared some words of wisdom and a little humor.
Can't come in, because this is smart kids class. And only smart kids get to come in this class. I'm the smart kids class teacher. And you have to be smart on this list to come to smart kids class. I said, now what's your name? And they would tell me their name. And of course I already looked, because I would never embarrass a child. And I would go down and say, let me see if I see your name. And I would look down the list. And I would say, I see Cynthia Dissol. Can't tell anybody that this is the smart kids class. Because I'm the smart kids class good teacher. And all the other kids in other class, they're going to be jealous because we're in the smart kids class.
In other news, this year, Virgin Islands National Park, Friends of the Park, and the St. John Historical Society partnered to obtain an America's Best Idea grant from the National Park Foundation. The Passing the Torch grant was meant to continue the work that is done each year at the annual Folklife Festival. Now, the festival highlights Virgin Islands culture. Local culture bearers have been providing demonstrations at the Gift Hill School and Sproul School. So far, the students have made palm tree brooms, coconut boats, bush tea, Johnny cakes, and musical instruments out of calabash, hulls, palm leaves, and sticks. Great job there by the students. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.